Hello and welcome back to the game room. You know what I love? Video games. You know what I love? Talking about games. And it seems like a lot of people these days who cover games seem to hate them. Or at least the people who play them. Well, that's not me, and that's not the 3,199 of you beautiful people checking out this video here today. Yes, I know the Xbox store is closed. What am I still doing grifting on these videos? Well, I really like the Xbox 360. It's the whole reason I started doing these videos anyways. And even though we can't get any more DLC, we can't get any more deals, some of them you can. You can buy some of them that are backwards compatible and then download it on the 360. But for the most part, a lot of stuff was lost. You know, last week's video going over the DLC did great. You know, thank you guys for bringing some other games to my attention as well. But we do soldier on. Now we are scraping the bottom of the barrel a little bit with this video because I did run out of time. I actually went and saw the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie on Friday night, which typically is one of the nights where I get a lot of work done for these videos, so that kind of put me in a bind. So not every one of these games I'm talking about this week are recommended, but they're all interesting. So if that sounds interesting to you, let's check it out. There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life.
This is my game room.
First game I want to start with was one that I have avoided getting for years. Now, the funny thing about this is I've had this game recommended to me. I've seen it recommended on YouTubers' channels, but it's never quite clicked that the Xbox 360 version of this game also includes the original Xbox version of this game. So it's pretty much a 2-for-1. And according to most people, both games are pretty damn good. And that game is Chronicles of Riddick, Assault on Dark Athena, which includes a Chronicles of Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay remake on the disc. And you can just straight away play. You don't even have to unlock it. One of the free DLCs that I picked up was a commentary mode for this, which is kind of what keyed me into it being a thing. And it's still somewhat affordable based on what you're getting. It's anywhere from $20 to $30. I think I found this in my local game store for $25. It is complete. Now, I am not the biggest Riddick fan. Ironically, I went and saw the movie Pitch Black when it first came out into theaters, and I really didn't like Riddick at all. And this is before the Riddick movies. Pitch Black was kind of the first movie that the character appeared in before he got his own standalone movie. And it's about a guy who can see in the dark. In Pitch Black, you're surrounded by all these creatures that attack in the dark and are afraid of the light. And it's a cool movie, and then it just was weird. I remember they came out with a standalone movie starring Riddick years later. It was like an action vehicle. And then the games came out, and because I was not the biggest fan of the character, I just never went and looked into it. But like I said, you hear about this all the time. So it's a first-person semi-stealth action game, a little bit of light puzzle solving elements, and what's really cool is that you do have the ability when you go and do certain actions, much like Quantum of Solace did, it'll zoom out into a third-person perspective so you can see that glorious dome of Vin Diesel. Because it is Vin Diesel's likeness, it is his voice, he's heavily involved in this, and it's just a solid all-around game. I didn't get super far into it, but it does seem very brutal and gory. You can sneak up on people and execute them. You can use their own weapons against them. And it seems like it's going to be a pretty serviceable first-person shooter with you know, a little bit more ground and pound, a little bit more visceral, maybe some... I didn't like Dishonored, but it kind of gives me a Dishonored vibe. But a good one I'm glad I finally picked up. Thank you guys for the recommendation, and I'm looking forward to checking out more of it. And I only played Assault on Dark Athena. I didn't even look at Escape from Butcher Bay. So like I said, it's a twofer. If you've ever had any interest in these games, get this one, not the Xbox one, because like I said, it includes both. All right, now here's one. I saw this recommended on someone, it might have been RNG Gamer's complete Xbox 360 collection where he said this game was hard to find. And I got this game as a part of the lot that came with my import tuner lot. It just was in there. And so when I picked up the lot, I'm like, okay, well, I've heard I don't know how it's a desirable game, but I've heard it's a good game. And that is, funnily enough, Family Feud 2012 edition. Hear me out. Hear me out. I popped this in. Now, if you guys remember, the Xbox 360 used avatars because everyone was trying to copy that after the Wii introduced Mii's. So you could get your avatar, you could dress them up with clothing. A lot of the downloads for games where you're able to download hats or animations for your avatar. Well, that avatar is what's used in this game. So you can be playing as your avatar, and then if you have friends over, they can use their avatar. So it's a big fun party game in that regard. But the issue I have with a lot of these game show games, now bear in mind, I go back to the NES days, the SNES days playing these type of things, Wheel of Fortune, Jeopardy, is you always have to know how to spell what you're trying to submit. So I can't tell you how many times I played these game show games where the answer is, let's say, Steinbeck. And I put in Steinbeck, but I spell it, with the I before the E except after C. So it goes in as wrong, and then the computer says Steinbeck, and it's right. And, non-beknownst, yes, Jeopardy can be ridiculous like that with rules. I don't like that in my game, especially when you can usually just say it. What's nice about Family Feud 2012 is that when you start typing in with the controller what your guess is, it'll then auto-populate the answer. So if I was looking to put watch TV for something someone does when they're insomniac, I'll put watch, and then watch TV pops up as an option, and so on and so forth. So that way you can put in the right answer. Now, it can cheat the system a little bit. It can get you some ideas of answers, or sometimes you'll put in a phrase that isn't there, and you're not quite sure how. But much like normal Family Feud on the television, if you put sausage and the answer is hot dog, it's going to allow you to say sausage and then give you the right one. So it works. If you like Family Feud, it works just like the show, and it's the easiest way I've ever seen to play it. It also is before Steve Harvey took over, so not everything is a sexual innuendo. So it is something you can actually play with family. And I know it's a silly recommendation, but I actually had a lot of fun with this just by myself. I could see this being fun with Jen. This could be a real fun game to play with people who are not gamers. Because, like I said, it's basically just like playing Family Feud. And you even have the final thing at the end of it. It's fun. I enjoyed it. And the host they picked kind of looks like Conan O'Brien wearing a mustache, which is kind of funny. All right, now here's one that I'm just saying because this whole series goes up in price. Ironically, this was a video that was requested for me to play, I want to say back in 2017 or 2016. And it was the first foray I ever had into the series. And the guy who told me to do it said that it's not a great game, but he just wanted to hear my thoughts on it. And that is Silent Hill Homecoming. Now, after playing the original Silent Hill, I have much more appreciation for how this game is, because when I was playing Silent Hill 1, it kept reminding me of that reminded me of how Homecoming looked. But it's a Silent Hill game. I mean, it's still a Silent Hill game that's, $20 complete, something like that. That's unheard of. I can't think of another Silent Hill game that isn't through the roof. Now, maybe because this game is not high quality, that's the reason why it hasn't gone up. But I'm just telling you guys, if you're a Silent Hill collector, if you like the games, after playing the first one, this one at least is full of member berries where it feels like Silent Hill. And the reason why I stopped playing it is that the game glitched on me. So there's a well-known glitch that can happen where you can get yourself locked out without getting the right key or without the gate opening. I can't remember what I did to make this happen, but basically it was a need to reset the game situation. And so that's why I stopped playing it. But before that happened, I was having a decent enough time. It's definitely more action-based than it is horror-based. So for people who are looking for those Silent Hill screams, this is not anywhere near that. The feeling of dread and unease I had all during Silent Hill 1 was not in this game whatsoever. The only part that was a little bit of terrifying was when they introduced Pyramid Head, which, once again, isn't even in Silent Hill 1, but they introduced Pyramid Head, and this freaky looking dude with a big triangle on his head. Yeah, that was frightening. Other than that, though, pretty ho-hum. Still, one that I figured I'd throw out there just because the other one on the 360, I think it's called Silent Hill Downpour, that game has gotten crazy expensive lately. And it's only a matter of time. All these Silent Hill games just seem to go up and up and up. All right, here's one that I've had for a while here. I've known of this game for a long time, and I finally decided to put it in. And you know, I was actually pretty pleasantly surprised with what I got, and that game is Prey. So in this, you play as a Native American that is just hanging out at a bar, and then an alien invasion occurs and abducts you, your girlfriend, your grandpa, and then somehow you get released on the spaceship, and you're just walking around and trying to solve things and basically killing aliens, taking names, and trying to rescue your girlfriend. And it's got some very interesting, it's a first-person shooter, more or less, but it's got some very interesting perspective play, where you will look at, say, a grate, and you can see through the grate, but then you go on the other side of the grate, and you can see another room, crouch down, and then you're in the other room. Or you'll see a walkway, you follow the walkway, and then suddenly you're on the ceiling, and then you shoot the enemies, and they die. And then let's say they were on the grate that had the magnetic thing, and then they fall to the ground. So there's some very interesting gravity mechanics, spatial awareness mechanics. You know, it's an interesting game in that regard. And also, complete tangent, there is some audio recording, which I'm assuming he did for the game, from Art Bell. And if you're familiar with late night, coast to coast, that was originally basically created, that whole genre was created by Art Bell, all the conspiracy theorists, all the late night talk show hosts. So for a game that is involving a alien invasion of questionable origin and validity, to then have live on the radio Art Bell talking to people in the area where they're seeing these UFOs, because that's basically what would happen on the show anyways back in the 90s and early 2000s. You have people saying like, oh, this is happening right now. I tell you, I saw my cow Bessie go straight up in there. And then Art, who's a great interviewer, would just be like, wow, tell me about what was happening to Bessie. So he's in the game, and it's just a little... Like, it's a little Easter egg. I don't know how many people would enjoy it besides myself, but that right there shows the level of care that went into the game, in my opinion, and that's why it just has a vibe. Now, I've heard some people completely dislike this game. I just happen to be the target audience with this kind of stuff, so I'm looking forward to playing more of that game. And it's still fairly cheap. I think I picked it up for $10 at the local game store. It's going up too, like everything is. The prices have started to slow down. Let's be honest on that. I have been seeing some deals going out there. So if this one sounds interesting, highly recommend it. Very cool. Like I said, the gravity, all that, the storyline. It has me coming for more. And I'm looking forward to playing more of that. All right, here's one. Like I said, I ran out of time this week. So this is not a great game, but if you like the Gears of War series, this is still a good game. If it wasn't called Gears of War, it would probably be something that I'd mention like Binary Domain or Vanquish or Fuse or something. But because it's got Gears of War attached to it, it really is, I'm much more harsh on it. And that game is Gears of War Judgment. Now, this game was free on Xbox Gold at one point, because I still have it. And the funny thing about the Xbox 360 games with Gold is that you don't need an active subscription to still play it. So I could still have played it on my Xbox, but I deleted it because I needed to make room to download all the DLCs and everything. But Gears of War Judgment, it's still more Gears. It's still in the same universe. It has... You know, it has some new characters that we don't really give a damn about, but it's serviceable. It has the Lancer cutting people up. They introduce some new things. It's nice getting to fight the Locusts again before they kind of rebooted Gears of War 4 with the exact same enemies, just with a different origin story. I like Baird. Baird was always fun. It's got fun getting to see more of him. It's not a great game, but like I said, it's still... You know, the worst Gears of War game is probably still better than most of all the other Gears of War clones I've talked about. So, one that, pick it up, it's $10. It's super cheap, and it's just fun. Like, I like having, it's the same reason I picked up God of War Ascension at a certain point. I like having the full catalog of a series that I enjoy, even the lesser titles. You know, I have Gears of War Tactics, too, which apparently you need to be online to play it in single player, which that's a little lame. But anyways... Gears of War Judgment, not a great game, not as bad. I mean, I gotta give it another shot. This was one I always wanted to... I played this years ago, and I should go back and see if it truly is as bad, because, you know, it's been long enough. Maybe I'll appreciate it. This is the level-based, the going back and forth in time. It's just presented in such a weird way. Okay, now this is one that I'm just bringing up here because I never really hear anyone talk about it. I love the Guitar Hero series. I'm not a huge fan of the kind of the dedicated album ones like Aerosmith Guitar Hero or Metallica. But the one that took place after my favorite Guitar Hero, which was Guitar Hero World on Tour, was still a serviceable game, but I don't feel anyone talks about it. And it's one that I still really enjoy, and that's Guitar Hero 5. So Guitar Hero 5 pretty much... This was after Rock Band came out and then expanded the instrument set. That's why Guitar Hero 4 is World Tour, where it has the microphone and the drums. When Guitar Hero 5 came out, they kind of went backwards. They had less noticeable songs, but you still have all the new mechanics that were introduced. So for myself, I love the way Guitar Hero 4 plays when you're playing as the bass guitar or have the different abilities with the notes to play on the neck, the neck of the guitar. So Guitar Hero 5 continues with that kind of game design. It just doesn't have as great of music as Guitar Hero 1, 2, and 3. So, and the issue with Guitar Hero is that the later you get in the series, it's the same kind of problem you have with a game like Beat Saber, is that unless you started with the first game, Expert on Guitar Hero 1 is nowhere near what Expert on Guitar Hero 5 is. You literally need to build up. Much like in World of Warcraft, in classic WoW, you need to do Molten Core before Blackwing Lair, before AQ40, before Nax. There is no catch-up mode. So if you get into Guitar Hero 5 and you're going into Expert mode, it's hard to go to hard mode and learn the tools needed to go into Expert. And then normal and easy mode aren't even worth it because you're basically playing a metronome at that point. It's not even the same game. So even for myself, going back and trying to capture footage sometimes, or when I played Rock of the Dead, I am so rusty that I was almost like, I need to go back to Guitar Hero 1 to get my ship shape back, because you learn fundamentals. Like there's button presses and positions that you learn in Guitar Hero 1 and 2 that then become normalized in Guitar Hero 3 or 4, or they start doing little things that are different. And then imagine in the fifth one how different that is. All that to say, though, still a fun game, still a good one to have. I don't see it ever, and I know some of the Guitar Heroes got expensive, like Warriors of Rock, for some reason is more expensive. Have been times where I've seen Guitar Hero 5 be pricier, or at least people try and get it pricier, but it's one that I would still recommend to pick up if you like the Guitar Heroes, if that's something that's your jam, because those are going up there too. Like the Guitar Hero guitars, those things used to be dime a dozen, and now they're actually expensive again, which is nuts. I mean, I remember I couldn't give those things away. I have like 7 of them, and now they're all actually worth money now, which is cool, but I still, you know me, I can't get rid of anything. All right, here's another fun one that I picked up that's been recommended to death. I've seen it everywhere. Once again, I'm not the biggest shooters fan, but I do appreciate them. I have learned to really like a lot of them. And I think this is made by either Cave or Core. I think it's Cave, one of those. And that is Akai Katana. So this is a side-scrolling shooter, and pretty enjoyable. You get you have the ability to play as the original arcade version or as the Xbox version, and then there's a third version, and I think it's a remix of the arcade. I could be wrong. Correct me on that. You can play as 3 different characters. There's some sort of overarching story, but I'm sorry, when I play a shooter, I don't give a damn about the story. I just want to go and shoot stuff and make it blow up real good. It seems like when I was playing, you had unlimited continues, or at least I was playing well enough not to lose all my lives, which that was nice. Not as good as Death Smiles, but still pretty fun. I think I picked it up on Price Chart of all places. I think I got it for like $20, $25. It's probably closer to $30 now, maybe a little bit more than that. A fun one if you like shooters. That's kind of, I think they just came out with a remaster of it on the Switch, and maybe even a Kai Katana 2. I think that vaguely sounds familiar. But fun, enjoyed it. A good one that was released here in North America, because there's a lot of good shooters on the Xbox 360 that we didn't get. And I have not jumped in that rabbit hole yet. As far as region-free games, I'm trying to resist it, but I did jump into it because I love it when digital-only games get a physical release, and it came to my attention from a video from the great From the Void, the guy who did such great videos about the Xbox store closing, and he did a region-free video, and I expected these only to be Japanese releases, but one of them was a PAL release, and it was a triple pack of 3 download-only Ubisoft games, and it had a game that looked very interesting, so I had to get the damn thing, and that is the Ubisoft triple pack that comes with Outland, From Dust, and then Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary, or Beyond Good and Evil HD. Now, before about a month ago, this was a great thing to have, but now they released the 20th anniversary of the game. Not so much, but still a solid way to play it. From Dust was actually a game I played back in the day, so this is more or less a God sim, sort of like Black and White, where you control these little guys on an island, and then there's a big tidal wave catastrophe coming, so you got to prepare for that, and you can basically manipulate things and continue on, and it's just, to be honest, I did not enjoy it all that much. I thought it was unique, it was interesting, but this was kind of when I started to taper off of the arcade games on the Xbox 360 that I was buying, because this was around the time where I bought I'm Alive and Puddle and some of the other ones that I just wasn't really feeling as much as Bastion, or then when I got Super Meat Boy, which was amazing. But the last one is a game called Outland, and Outland was one that was not even on my radar. And this game has a very interesting mechanic like Ikaruga, where you can have polarity shifts, where you can have yourself be red and then you can walk through red damage, or you can have yourself be blue and you can walk through blue damage. And through that, and it reminds me a little of a game called Apotheon. It's more or less a side-scrolling Metroidvania type game, but utilizing that mechanic. And so you can jump backwards and forwards through these things and not get damage or get damage. And it's got some basic combat, but just that, I love that polarity shift gimmick, I guess, for lack of a better word. I like the way it is, and just like I said, 3 download-only games. Now, I had to buy this brand new. I got it brand new for $40. It is region-free, even though it's got PEGI. It is region-free. It plays on any Xbox. According to the price chart, it should be around $30, but I couldn't find any copies of it. And if this sounds like something interesting to you guys, like I said, I like having these digital-only compilations of these games. And I didn't have a copy of Beyond Good and Evil either, so that was good to get. But yeah. Recommend that one. Outland and From Dust are pretty damn cool. Beyond Good and Evil, obviously. We're still waiting for the sequel. It's never coming out. I can't believe they did a 20th anniversary of the first game and the sequel. They announced, 2017, I think? I think that's when we saw it. 2017, I haven't heard from it since, which is just hilarious. All right, getting down to the last two. So I'm going to do this one first. This one is not a recommendation to go pick it up. Without very specific circumstances, which you think I'd be the right guy for this game, but I just want to talk about it because, like I said, I ran out of time this week. That is the Lost Via Domus game. Now, this is on the PS3 as well. I don't know what price this is. Jen got this for me one year for either Christmas or my birthday. I remember how excited she was because she found a video game that was for Lost, and bear in mind at the time I knew this game was terrible, and so I opened it, and of course, being the idiot I was, I started laughing, and she's like, what's so funny? I'm like, this game is awful. I'm like, oh, well, I thought you'd like it. I'm like, oh, God. So, this game, it takes place between, I want to say, seasons 2 and 3, or maybe between seasons 1 and 2, but it has the artwork from season 3. I think that's what it is. Or I don't know. Anyways, it's maybe it's between 2 and 3, but it has either way. You're not playing as anyone on the show. You're playing as some random dude, and then you're just interacting with people on the cast, which the voice actors for these guys are nowhere near the actual actors, and it's just so bad. Like, the game is it's so bad, I almost think it's good. To be honest, I think it's almost so bad it's good. Prison Break at least wanted to do it with care. This game just seemed like a stupid cash grab. But I just wanted to talk about it just because if you like Lost, yeah, you know what, it probably should be something you have and check out. I am still one of those people who likes Lost. Even with the quote-unquote unsatisfying ending, I enjoyed the ride. It still is one of my favorite shows, and I had to talk about the stupid game because, man, is it good? Not really, but if you're looking for something that's really terrible, check that out. All right, speaking of terrible games, this one I actually do have an interesting take on. So the last game we're going to talk about is one that I've heard a lot of people mention, and it's supposedly like a 70-hour game, but a lot of people say it's bad. They say it's boring, they don't like it. And now bear in mind, I didn't play nearly as much time as they did, but from the brief time I did play it, I think I have an idea of why they would say that, and also why that appeals to me. So the game I'm talking about is Record of Agarist War. Now, I don't know if every copy comes with it, but my copy comes with a soundtrack, so be on the lookout for that. It's hard to kind of find that designation. But more or less, this is a turn-based tactical game, and it is taking place in a world that seems to have Xbox 360 graphics, but then the characters on screen seem to be straight out of a PS1 game. And then it uses character stand-ins, almost like Fire Emblem, to then deliver the dialogue, which, by the way, the dialogue is in Japanese. It's not in English, so already I think that's strike one for a lot of people. I don't mind. I actually would prefer not to have any voice acting in my RPGs just because I'm faster at reading anyways. So that doesn't bother me. And then a lot of times the Japanese voice acting is a lot better. That's why a lot of people will turn on Japanese voice acting. But there's that. And then there was the other part of the game, which the way the turn-based combat works is that it is segmented into a move phase and an action phase. And then your mana essentially is also designated by those action points. So if you stand still, the enemy can move to you, and then whoever has the highest level of action points goes first, and you can use all your action points at once, or you can hold them. If you bank those action points, you can save them for the next turn, and then it allows you to use those to have bigger and badder damage. Now, you can only hold up to 2 times your normal action points. So it's like your vacation pay at work, how they make it where you can have a week's vacation a year, or you can bank it and have up to 2 weeks of unused vacation. So same thing like that. And I found the combat very intriguing because of that. I found a lot of nuance immediately, as well as if you kill an enemy, you get a item. But if you overkill an enemy significantly, you get a better item. So then it rewards basically dropping giant moves on enemies to then get better reagents. So I can see why this would not be everyone's cup of tea, but for myself, I actually really like it. I like PS1 graphics. I like old school looking games. This game definitely does not look like an Xbox 360 game, which for most people would be a negative. For me, it's a positive. Now, the backgrounds were a little repetitive. It had you save between each fight, and I played about 5 fights, and they all were on the same exact background, the same bland, grassy background, so I would hope that gets better. But yeah, not having voice acting, I don't give a damn. Not having what appears to be armor or anything yet, I don't care. It allows you to upgrade your stats, and then you get certain characters. And I really just got to the overworld, and then I stopped. Because like I said, these games, it's hard to get a complete review. So like I said, on my initial thoughts on this, the way the combat works, I'm in. I can see how most people may not be, or maybe didn't understand it. Like, that's the other thing, is that these things are easy to get confused on if you go into them approaching it. Like, you don't move at the same time as the enemy. Or you and the enemy both move, and then you both attack. And that's one of the things where you can cheese the enemy, because they don't seem to move when it's beneficial to them to get out of the way. So I was wondering if this would be a little bit like a Vandal Hearts 2 scenario, where I would move my guy to grid A, and then they would move their guy to grid B, and then we would both be attacking nothing. That doesn't happen. So if you stay still, the guy walks up to you, and then on your next turn, you then move to the right of them, they're not going to move. They're just going to stay still. At least that's what I've noticed. But yeah, Record of Agarist War, I actually think is very promising. And if you like turn-based tactical games, this is the cheap one. This is like the only cheap one on the damn console. I picked it up for maybe $15, and I still see it from $10 to $20. Same with the sequel. And I'm imagining the sequels that, well, no, that's the prequel. There's 3 of them that I know of. There's Record of Agarist War, there's another one on the 360, and then there's one on the PS3. I don't have the PS3 one, but I have the 2 360 ones, which I'm sure we'll talk about the other one maybe next week. But there you go, guys. That is 10 more games you need to go pick up now that the FOMO is over. And if any of these look interesting, including some of the bad ones, pick them up. Hey, been another great week, guys. That DLC video crushed it. Thank you guys so much. We're at 3,200 subs. Unbelievable. Like, literally a third of my viewer base has occurred in the last 4 months. You guys are insane. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep riding this 360 wave for a little bit here. I've found a few more games to pick up. As you see, I'm bringing in some bottom of the barrel stuff to talk about. But I hope you guys, I appreciate the people picking up the DLC. Hopefully you guys found some good stuff. I know there's things I missed. I ran out of money. I didn't even get to talk about the stealth discounts that dropped at the very end. Luckily, nothing was discounted that I picked up for the most part. And then thank you to, in the comments, someone had mentioned that Dishwasher Samurai had been discounted, which those were 2 games I wanted to pick up. So that was great, because I was going to not get them. So if not for that comment, I probably wouldn't have found out. But yeah, just thank you guys so much. Thank you for being here. I just can't believe it. If you're wondering what I thought about the Deadpool Wolverine movie, I thought it was okay. I just thought it was okay. It didn't go... It's funny. I enjoyed the parts about the Fox universe because that was nostalgic for me. I loved poking fun at Disney for how much they have messed up. I just wanted them to go harder. But hey, Hugh Jackman's incredible in it. But anyways, it's been so nice getting a hold of you guys. Take care.